Why did Egyptian philosophers say silence is more powerful than speech? The ancient Egyptians, renowned not only for their monumental achievements in art, architecture, and engineering, also cultivated a sophisticated literary tradition that reflected their values, beliefs, and societal structures. A significant genre within this tradition was known as Sabite, a form of wisdom or instructional literature intended to impart ethical teachings, practical advice, and moral conduct, often from an elder or high official to a younger generation. One of the most prominent and enduring examples of this genre is the Maxims of Ptahhotep, attributed to Ptahhotep, a vizier under Pharaoh Djedkare-Isesi during Egypt's 5th dynasty. This work is among the earliest known philosophical texts in human history and offers a profound glimpse into the ethical ideals and social principles that guided ancient Egyptian life. Through poetic and didactic prose, Ptahhotep addresses themes such as humility, justice, self-control, and the importance of listening, making the text not only a historical artifact, but also a timeless piece of moral philosophy. Ptahhotep was a high-ranking official who held the esteemed title of vizier, effectively serving as the pharaoh's chief advisor and the highest authority in the land after the king himself. During Egypt's 5th dynasty, around the 24th century BCE, more than 4,000 years ago. As vizier under Pharaoh Djedkare-Isesi, Ptahhotep would have overseen vital aspects of administration, including justice, taxation, state records, and infrastructure projects, making him one of the most powerful and influential figures in the kingdom. In the twilight of his life, reportedly approaching the remarkable age of 110, Ptahhotep composed a collection of teachings known as the Maxims of Ptahhotep. This work was intended as a legacy of wisdom for his son and for future generations of leaders. Framed as a father's counsel to his heir, the text offers practical and philosophical guidance on how to lead with integrity, exercise restraint, uphold justice, and navigate the complexities of human behavior, principles that reflect the ethical and social ideals of ancient Egyptian society. His maxims continue to be studied today as one of the earliest recorded examples of moral philosophy and statecraft in human history. With evocative phrases such as "good speech is more hidden than greenstone," Ptahhotep emphasized the profound value of thoughtful and measured language. In this metaphor, greenstone, a rare and precious mineral prized in ancient Egypt for its beauty and symbolic power, serves as a comparison to well-crafted speech, suggesting that wise words are both rare and deeply treasured. This analogy sets the tone for the entire text, underscoring a core theme of the Maxims of Ptahhotep, that eloquence and wisdom are not innate, but must be cultivated through reflection, discipline, and experience. In the Egyptian worldview, speech had not only social and moral implications, but also spiritual weight. It could heal, harm, influence justice, and reflect one's inner character. By urging his readers to speak with intention and restraint, Ptahhotep presented language as a tool of leadership, a mark of personal virtue, and a cornerstone of ethical governance. Throughout the Maxims of Ptahhotep, silence emerges as a recurring and deeply valued virtue. Ptahhotep frequently underscores the importance of restraint in speech, portraying silence not as a sign of weakness or ignorance, but as a marker of wisdom, self-control, and social intelligence. One of his central teachings declares, "Silence is more profitable than abundance of speech," suggesting that thoughtful quietude often yields greater respect and insight than constant or careless talk. In another admonition, he warns, "Do not gossip. People respect the silent," reflecting a cultural emphasis on discretion and dignity in communication. In the context of ancient Egyptian society, where social harmony, reputation, and moral conduct were paramount, silence functioned as a powerful form of self-mastery. Ptahhotep's advice reflects a worldview in which words were believed to have real power. Thus, choosing when not to speak was just as important as knowing what to say. By advocating for silence, he encouraged future leaders and citizens alike to listen more, judge wisely, and speak only when their words would carry purpose and truth. Ptahhotep, the ancient Egyptian vizier and sage, offers profound advice on the power of silence in conflict resolution. In his teachings, he emphasizes that true wisdom and strength often lie not in confrontation, but in composed restraint. When engaged with an adversary, regardless of whether the opponent holds equal status or not, Ptahhotep advises that remaining calm and silent, even in the face of provocation or unjust criticism, is the most dignified and effective response. He writes, "Your superiority will be shown by silence while he speaks poorly. Your name will be good." This guidance suggests that by refusing to retaliate with harsh words, one maintains dignity and demonstrates moral and intellectual superiority. Silence, in this context, becomes a powerful tool. It disarms the aggressor, preserves one's integrity, and earns the respect of onlookers. Rather than engaging in a fruitless argument, the wise individual lets their composed demeanor speak for them. In the long run, this behavior not only elevates their reputation, but also reinforces a legacy of self-control and honor. In his timeless teachings on ethics, communication, and leadership, Ptahhotep offers guidance not only for personal conduct, but also for those in positions of authority and influence, particularly scribes, administrators, and officials who shape the functioning of the state. Within leadership settings where words can carry significant weight and consequences, Ptahhotep emphasizes the critical importance of emotional discipline and thoughtful communication. He advises, "Collect your heart, be silent, speak only when you have a solution." This counsel encourages leaders to pause and center themselves before speaking, to collect your heart, meaning to gain control over one's emotions, thoughts, and impulses. Silence, in this case, is not avoidance, but a moment of introspection and deliberate restraint. It is a powerful act of leadership, resisting the urge to speak prematurely or reactively, especially in high-stakes situations. Ptahhotep insists that speech should be purposeful, constructive, and grounded in wisdom. Leaders are not to speak merely to fill silence or assert dominance, but only when their words contribute meaningfully, ideally by offering a well-considered solution. In this way, speech becomes a sacred responsibility, not a casual tool. Underscoring the weight of this responsibility, Ptahhotep declares that speech is harder than any other work. This striking statement reflects the Egyptian belief that words carry the power to create harmony or chaos, truth or falsehood, justice or injustice. For a leader, mastering the art of speech requires more than eloquence. It demands clarity of thought, ethical intention, and the wisdom to know when not to speak. In a society governed by Ma'at, the principle of balance, truth, and cosmic order, speech was not only a means of communication, but a reflection of character and moral alignment. Ptahhotep's warning serves as a reminder that leadership is not about constant assertion, but about measured expression rooted in wisdom, integrity, and a deep sense of responsibility. In ancient Egyptian ethical thought, as exemplified by the teachings of Ptahhotep, the ideal approach to conflict and communication was not one of passive withdrawal or silence born of fear. It was a philosophy of mindful, deliberate speech and composed behavior. Rather than reacting impulsively or confrontationally, the wise individual was expected to respond with thoughtful restraint and inner discipline. This principle is especially emphasized in Ptahhotep's counsel regarding encounters with those in positions of greater power or influence. In courtly or public settings, where power dynamics are heightened, he advises, "If you meet a powerful adversary, bend your back, do not oppose him. Your self-control will match his torrent of words." Here, Ptahhotep is not advocating for submission in the modern sense, but rather encouraging humility, patience, and strategic composure. Bend your back is a metaphor for adopting a respectful posture, not out of weakness, but to diffuse tension and avoid escalating conflict. By choosing not to directly oppose someone who is more powerful, one preserves both safety and dignity. The true strength, Ptahhotep suggests, lies in self-mastery. By restraining the impulse to argue or retaliate, one's silence and poise become a counterforce to the adversary's emotional outburst or verbal aggression. This approach reflects a deeper Egyptian value, the harmony of Ma'at, the principle of order, balance, and justice. Mindful speech was seen not only as a sign of wisdom, but also as a contribution to the maintenance of societal and cosmic order. Thus, in Ptahhotep's view, skillful communication isn't about winning arguments through volume or cleverness, but about embodying self-control and moral integrity, especially in the face of provocation. At the heart of ancient Egyptian morality, governance, and daily life was Ma'at, the divine embodiment of truth, balance, order, and justice. She was not merely a goddess in the mythological sense, but a central principle by which the universe and human society were meant to function. Ma'at governed everything, from the movements of the stars to the fairness of a courtroom and the integrity of personal behavior. To live in accordance with Ma'at was to live in harmony with the cosmic order. Ptahhotep, one of ancient Egypt's earliest and most influential moral philosophers, deeply internalized this concept. In his Maxims, a collection of wisdom literature addressed to young officials and scribes, he emphasizes that Ma'at should guide every aspect of human conduct, especially for those in positions of authority and influence. His teachings are not simply pragmatic advice, but a moral framework rooted in divine cosmic law. He admonishes, all conduct should be so straight that you can measure it with a plumb line. This vivid metaphor draws from architecture and craftsmanship, where a plumb line, a simple tool used to ensure vertical accuracy, symbolizes absolute precision, honesty, and uprightness. Ptahhotep is urging his readers to live lives of such moral clarity and integrity that their actions could be judged against an objective standard of righteousness, just as a builder's wall is judged against a vertical line. There should be no deceit, no wavering, no corruption, only conduct so aligned with Ma'at that it is flawlessly straight. In this view, morality isn't relative or flexible. It is measurable, traceable, and rooted in an eternal order. For Ptahhotep and his contemporaries, justice was not a matter of personal opinion, but a reflection of the divine order maintained by Ma'at. Every choice a person makes, especially those in leadership, either upholds or disrupts that cosmic harmony. By embedding Ma'at in every aspect of behavior, Ptahhotep's teachings go beyond individual ethics. They form a vision of a just society grounded in self-control, truthfulness, and a shared moral compass. Ptahhotep, the esteemed vizier and moral philosopher of ancient Egypt's Old Kingdom, regarded speech not merely as a tool of communication, but as a refined craft, an art form requiring discipline, skill, and wisdom. In a society where the spoken word could influence royal policy, resolve disputes, and uphold cosmic order, mastering speech was seen as one of the highest forms of personal development. He counsels, "Be a craftsman in speech, for the strength of one is the tongue." This powerful analogy casts the speaker as an artisan, just as a sculptor carves stone or a builder constructs temples. A wise individual shapes words with intention and care. In Ptahhotep's view, true strength does not lie in brute force or physical domination, but in the ability to speak wisely, persuasively, and justly. The tongue, though small, wields immense influence. It can resolve conflicts, inspire loyalty, protect the vulnerable, and preserve social harmony. This was particularly crucial in Egyptian administrative and legal settings, where verbal negotiation often carried more weight than violence or coercion. He further declares, A perfect word is hidden more deeply than precious stones. It is found near servants at the millstone. This poetic image elevates speech to the realm of treasure, something rare, valuable, and buried beneath the surface. A perfect word is not easily attained. It must be mined through humility, observation, and lived experience. By placing this wisdom near servants at the millstone, Ptahhotep implies that true insight and eloquence are not reserved for the elite. Even those in lowly positions, those who grind grain, labor in silence, and observe the world without adornment, may possess speech of great beauty and truth. Wisdom, in other words, is often hidden in unexpected places, and humility is essential for discovering it. Together, these teachings reveal Ptahhotep's profound respect for the power of language. He understood that speech, when used with precision and integrity, could uphold Ma'at, the divine order of truth and balance. Thus, to speak well was not only a social or political skill, but a spiritual responsibility. The wise speaker does not chase empty words or rhetorical flourishes, but crafts their language as carefully as one would a sacred artifact, knowing that the right word, spoken at the right time, is more powerful than weapons or wealth. These metaphors show that wisdom isn't flashy. It's forged over time, through listening, patience, and refinement. How can we apply Ptahhotep's ancient wisdom today? 5 practical steps for mindful communication. The teachings of Ptahhotep, though written over 4,000 years ago, remain deeply relevant in today's fast-paced, high-volume world of constant conversation and digital noise. His wisdom invites us to rethink how we use words, not as weapons or fillers, but as carefully chosen tools for clarity, understanding, and harmony. Here are 5 practical ways we can bring this ancient philosophy into our modern lives. 1. Practice active listening. Before preparing your reply, focus on fully understanding what the other person is saying. This requires patience and humility, the willingness to hold space for another voice without interrupting, judging, or rushing to respond. Ptahhotep wrote, "If he who listens listens fully, he becomes one who understands." Listening, in this view, is not passive. It is a deliberate act of attention that lays the foundation for wise speech. The more deeply we listen, the more accurately and compassionately we can respond. In today's world of sound bites and quick reactions, this ancient advice is a call to slow down and truly engage. 2. Use pauses as power before speaking. Take a moment to reflect. A brief pause creates space for clarity. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say necessary? Is it kind? Is it helpful? This moment of self-check aligns with Ptahhotep's belief in measured, intentional speech. In leadership, relationships, or conflict, a pause can prevent regret and allow wisdom to surface. It's a simple but powerful tool for emotional intelligence and verbal integrity. 3. Craft your words like a skilled artisan. Treat speech as a craft. Just as Ptahhotep advised, be a craftsman in speech, for the strength of one is the tongue. Every word we use has the potential to build understanding or to tear it down. Take time to choose words that are clear, honest, and suited to the moment. Avoid speaking for effect, and instead speak to add value to a conversation. Like a sculptor with stone, thoughtful communication shapes stronger relationships and more meaningful dialogue. 4. Journal before you speak. If you're navigating a difficult conversation or charged emotion, try writing your thoughts down first. Journaling allows you to sift through confusion, clarify your message, and connect with what truly matters. It also helps separate emotion from intention, ensuring your words reflect your values, not just your immediate feelings. This practice mirrors Ptahhotep's emphasis on internal discipline before external expression. It gives you time to collect your thoughts, just as he advises one to collect your heart before speaking. Schedule daily moments of silence. In a world filled with noise, notifications, meetings, media, intentional silence is revolutionary. Even just 5 minutes of quiet each day can sharpen mental clarity, restore emotional balance, and improve your communication throughout the day. For Ptahhotep, silence was not withdrawal, but wisdom, the ability to wait, observe, and act with purpose. Silence creates the space for deeper insight, allowing your speech to emerge not from habit, but from awareness. By practicing deep listening, mindful pauses, carefully crafted language, reflective journaling, and intentional silence, we align ourselves with the ancient ideal of Ma'at, truth, balance, and moral order. Ptahhotep reminds us that the way we speak shapes not just conversations but character, and that wise speech, born of inner stillness and moral clarity, is one of humanity's most powerful tools.